Greetings, acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to our archives. I have been expecting you. Darth Malgus is undisputably and unquestionably one of the most famous characters in all of Star Wars, and probably the most famous character from the Old Republic era. On the level of popularity, such as Revan, Darth Malgus has amassed a huge following from fans since its debut in the Old Republic cinematic trailers. Darth Malgus was a Sith warrior through and through, powering through the enemy ranks and possibly becoming the greatest Sith war general, tactician, and lightsaber duelist in all of Star Wars lore. Darth Malgus' lightsaber skills were unparalleled during his time, and some have stated that he was even greater than the acclaimed Swordmaster Emperor Sheev Palpatine, the Galactic Emperor of the Galactic Empire. Darth Malgus had notable feats such as defeating Venzalo, tearing through 3 highly esteemed Jedi Knights, using Force lightning, incinerating their flesh and killing them instantly, sacking the Jedi Temple on Coruscant during the sacking of Coruscant, and going rogue after learning that the Sith Emperor Vitiate, unknowingly being influenced by Revan, had decided to spare the Galactic Republic and not orbitally bombard it like Malgus had been hoping. Darth Malgus was quite possibly the first incarnation of Darth Vader, the Fallen Chosen One, although his command over the Force was not as great as the Fallen Chosen One. Today, I am going to educate you and indulge you in the knowledge surrounding why Darth Sidious, possibly the most powerful Sith Lord up to his time, and after that, wanted Darth Malgus as his apprentice. As I stated prior, Darth Malgus' lightsaber skill was unparalleled, acclaimed to being even superior to Darth Sidious, possibly one of the most powerful Sith of all time in terms of lightsaber combat, an exceptionally talented duelist specializing in Degem-So, the same style that Anakin Skywalker used to brutalize Dooku into submission aboard the Invisible Hand. He specialized in using rage and brute strength to defeat his opponents, aside from his overwhelming physical strength, which served him well, not only in lightsaber duels but also in hand-to-hand combat. Malgus often performed acrobatics and employed usages of the Taru, the same form that Master Yoda would go on to master, to increase his effectiveness in combat. His speed was such that a normal human found it difficult to watch his movement in duels. Darth Malgus was able to telekinetically guide his lightsaber using the Force. He was personally responsible for the deaths of several highly skilled Jedi Masters, believed to be one of the greatest war generals and military tacticians of his time in the Sith Empire. Malgus was shown to employ Jar-Kai in various situations, such as during the retaking of his Korriban, where he, along with his master, the pure-blooded Sith Lord Darth Vindican, fought Kal Kandarat and his Padawan Satil Shan, the same Jedi that would go on to be the Grand Master of the Order and Malgus' bitter rival. Despite Malgus' proficiency in Jar-Kai, he was able to beat Kal Kandarat, despite the latter's proficiency in the own form. Years later, during the sacking of Coruscant, Malgus managed to impale through the abdomen Jedi Master Venzalo in a short but ferocious duel. Zalo was often regarded as his most famous kill and very powerful. Another brief example of this was shown during his fight with Jedi Padawan Sahar Kateen, where Malgus used Jar-Kai after taking Denlam Orr's lightsaber, killing him. Even as he began to age and get into his 70s, Malgus still remained a fierce and nigh unopposed duelist that managed to fight against both Masters and Padawans simultaneously. Malgus' Force abilities were not to be discounted either, utilizing a variety of Force powers during the sacking of Coruscant, such as employing Force lightning to kill 3 Jedi at the same time. Malgus himself could tolerate immense Force lightning attacks and was able to harm the Outlander, the legendary hero that toppled the Eternal Empire, with his Force lightning usage. He perfected the application of Force lightning to a degree where he could pioneer and unleash a Force Maelstrom, making a shield bubble using the Force around the user, telekinetically lifting up multiple targets and then blasting them and incinerating them with Force lightning. Darth Malgus was possibly the most powerful Force user, aside from Darth Revan and Darth Vitiate of his time, and is comparable to Galen Merrick in scaling of Force users. He was able to use during the Battle of Ilum. He demonstrated an application of 2 minutes The ideology and principle of absorbing force lightning or one's lightsaber blade when fired at by either Voidhound, Meteor, Hunter, or Cypher 9, absorbing the blast of fire with one hand. Darth Malgus was a Sith warrior through and through. On Alderaan, Malgus also faced Jedi Master Satele Shan and our allies in single combat, and tolerated heavy firepower, such as being exploded by a rocket, having a stun grenade blow up straight in his face, being thrown into a mountain. This did not waver and enrage and numb-pain Malgus. Malgus went on to kill 2 Jedi and have 2 buildings fall on him. However, despite his immense tolerance to pain, he was still required a respirator after this duel. Malgus was so tremendously strong in the Force in the newest iteration of the Old Republic game, Legacy of the Sith, it took various Force users simultaneously to immobilize him on El-Om. Malgus could also hide his presence in the Force using Force Concealment, an ability that Palpatine and Darth Plagueis, under the guise of Senator Palpatine and Higo Damask, would increasingly use. Intriguingly, a Jedi in Alderaan used his ability to suppress his Force signature when he planned to ambush Malgus, but it was not effective against him. Malgus still managed to sense his presence and Force choked him to death. Malgus also was proficient in the usage of Force Wave when he attempted to disperse a large crowd gathered outside a medical family on Coruscant to check in on Alina Daru, his slave wife. The blast shoved everything away from him in all directions, and bodies slammed into each walls and windows. The nearby transport lurched, and all the doors of the medical facility broke loose and fell to the ground. He being strong in the Force, with a mid-chlorine count possibly on par with that of Mace Windu's. Malgus was proficient in the application of telekinesis. Malgus could counter-push his opponents in mid-air while they would jump towards him and knock them out in the process. During the duel with Aaron Lena, a former Padawan of Venzala, who he had recently slain, Malgus demonstrated and depicted the ability to hurl objects as missiles towards his opponent. Malgus could also devastatingly affect and perform Force Grip and Force Crush, 2 devastatingly powerful Force powers. Darth Malgus eventually wrote a journal containing about the battle on Korriban and many of his other great achievements that was documented and later recovered by Darth Sidious during his tenure at the Galactic Empire. So, in concluding, why does this make Darth Malgus the ideal Sith for Palpatine, and why did Palpatine desire him as an apprentice? In short, after sustaining severe wounds on Mustafar, Palpatine desired Darth Vader, with his cybernetic enhancements, to become essentially a replica of Malgus, just more proficient in the Force. While he could not use Force lightning as Malgus could, Darth Vader eventually accomplished this, becoming a pure warrior, a monster in lightsaber combat, even eclipsing Malgus' skill. Darth Sidious employed this and emphasized this point. He wanted his apprentice to be like Darth Malgus, to the point where he gave him the journal that contained Malgus' siege of Ord Radama and his various sieges and tenure as a Sith warrior. He, however, left out the part that Malgus eventually betrayed the Sith Empire due to the fact that he did not want Vader to form any ideas within his head. Darth Sidious was incredibly powerful and even stated that if Darth Vader had have been more severely wounded on Mustafar, and even with his wounds, if Darth Malgus had have been around during the time of Anakin Skywalker, there was a very high chance that he would have rather left Anakin there to burn and shrivel in his death, and chosen Darth Malgus as his new apprentice. Darth Sidious desired Vader to become a pure monster, not an heir to the Empire at all, but a piece to be moved around, such as Darth Malgus was. Vader and Malgus both believed and noted that there was nothing they could solve without the usage of a lightsaber. However, they still acknowledged the use of the Force, with Malgus pioneering a new Force ability that would have turned Darth Vader to pieces using Force lightning. Well, my friends, that was the entire reason why Darth Sidious wanted Darth Malgus as his apprentice, and why, if he had been around during the time of the Republic's downfall and the Galactic Empire's rise to prominence as the main galactic government, he might have sidestepped the newly Christian Lord Vader and chosen Malgus as his new apprentice. What did you think of this review on Darth Malgus? And what do you think of this character? If you haven't watched my other videos on the channel, you know Darth Malgus is my favourite character in all of Star Wars lore. His ability to tank and resist various force techniques and various objects, such as Satele Shan's Force Burst, is an incredible feat. Goodbye, Acolytes. I hope that you are well, and do not find yourself on the opposing end of Darth Malgus' savage strike today.